Operation Nemesis, the assassination plot that avenged the Armenian Genocide, 2015, a historical account penned by American actor and playwright Eric Bogosian, unveils the gripping narrative of Armenian revolutionaries who embarked on a mission to assassinate the Turkish perpetrators responsible for the Armenian Genocide. At the heart of Bogosian's narrative is the enigmatic figure of Soghomon Tehlirian, a student who accomplished the daring assassination of the former Turkish leader, Mehmet Talaat Pasha, in Berlin. The initial segment of the book delves into the rich history of the Armenian people. As inhabitants of the Ottoman Empire, they faced the harsh reality of being treated as second-class citizens within a predominantly Muslim state. These Christian Armenians were subjected to numerous restrictions, unable to hold official positions or marry Turks, and burdened with additional taxes. In the late 19th century, in response to this oppressive environment, several Armenian revolutionary societies emerged, with the Armenian Revolutionary Federation, ARF, rising to prominence. Through a series of bold actions, including a bank heist and an attempt on the Sultan's life, the ARF sought to resist their oppressors. Their activities were part of a broader wave of unrest in Ottoman society. In 1908, a faction known as the Young Turks aimed to overthrow the Sultan and usher in a democratic era across the Ottoman territories. They formed an alliance with the ARF, leading to a successful, non-violent coup. However, once the Young Turks seized power, they abandoned their erstwhile allies, disregarding the Armenian cause. Instead of establishing democracy, they instituted a harsh autocracy, mirroring the cruelty of the regime they had ousted. Leading this authoritarian rule was the Committee of Union and Progress, led by three influential figures, Cemal Pasha, Talaat Pasha, and Enver Pasha. By 1913, their authority was unchallenged, and with the eruption of World War I in 1914, they implemented increasingly oppressive measures. The Armenian Genocide commenced in early 1915, marked by the disappearance of numerous Armenian community leaders. This sinister campaign swiftly escalated, leading to widespread atrocities against the Armenian population. Subsequently, the entire Armenian community faced a brutal forced relocation from their ancestral homeland, a harrowing journey into the desolate Syrian desert. Along this treacherous path, thousands endured unspeakable acts of torture, rape, and murder. Eventually, the committee issued ruthless orders to exterminate the displaced Armenians. When the war concluded, British authorities assumed control of the region and established tribunals to prosecute committee members for their wartime crimes. Nearly all of those brought to trial were convicted and sentenced to death. However, the most prominent figures, including the three Pashas, managed to escape the country before their sentences could be executed. The book's second part delves into Armenian pursuits of justice through extrajudicial means. Bogosian spotlights the remarkable account of Soghomon Tehlirian, an Armenian student who had volunteered to fight against the Turks in Russia as the genocide unfolded. Upon returning to his hometown, Erzincan, in eastern Turkey, he was met with desolation, leading him to lose consciousness at the sight of the devastation. In the tragic aftermath, Tehlirian learned that 85 members of his family, including his mother and sister, had fallen victim to the genocide. Consumed by the desire for revenge, he encountered an Armenian traitor in Constantinople, whom he promptly assassinated. Yet, Tehlirian was resolute in his quest to locate the true architects of the genocide. During his exile from Turkey, Talaat Pasha had sought refuge in Germany, clandestinely plotting a resurgence to power. Tehlirian managed to trace Talaat's whereabouts to a residence on Hardenbergstrasse in Berlin. Renting an adjacent apartment, he diligently observed Talaat's daily routine. However, the relentless pursuit took a toll on Tehlirian, who grappled with epileptic seizures and haunting nightmares as he contemplated his impending mission. On March 15, 1921, Tehlirian meticulously shadowed Talaat, confirming his identity beyond any doubt. After a series of deliberate passes, Tehlirian finally confronted Talaat, shooting him in the nape of the neck. Subsequently, he maintained a patient vigil beside the lifeless body, as onlookers intervened, restraining him and urgently summoning the police. His ensuing trial became a sensation, with Tehlirian portraying himself as a solitary, grieving outcast, tormented by the haunting specter of his mother, whose brutal beheading he claimed to have witnessed. He pled a form of insanity, contending that the horrors of the genocide had inflicted profound mental distress. Consequently, the trial centered on Talaat and his culpability for the heinous crimes that had driven Tehlirian to commit murder. Expert witnesses unequivocally affirmed Talaat's guilt for appalling atrocities, crimes for which he had already been condemned to death. Astonishingly, the jury deliberated for less than an hour before returning a verdict of not guilty. The headline in the New York Times boldly proclaimed they simply had to let him go. However, Tehlirian was not the solitary actor he had portrayed himself to be. Instead, he was an assassin recruited by the ARF to participate in a meticulously coordinated operation codenamed Nemesis. Headquartered in Watertown, Massachusetts, within the Armenian community, Operation Nemesis was conceived with the objective of shedding light on the long-overlooked suffering of the Armenian people by eliminating those responsible for the genocide. Nemesis diligently recruited and trained 10 assassins while establishing a network of contacts within the diplomatic and intelligence circles of various nations. Bogosian dedicates an extensive section of his book to probing the potential involvement of British intelligence in the assassination of Talaat Pasha, ultimately concluding that the British were indeed implicated, given their exclusive knowledge of Talaat's whereabouts. This intelligence had been leveraged to dispatch Tehlirian to Berlin. Tehlirian had been instructed to remain with the body and feign insanity during the trial, creating a sensational narrative to draw global attention to the genocide. Remarkably, within a span of 3 years, Operation Nemesis successfully located and eliminated 6 additional Turkish figures who had played prominent roles in the genocide. The majority of these assassins managed to evade capture and trial, with one exception, who was eventually located by Soviet intelligence and subsequently sent to the Gulag. Following these events, Tehlirian embarked on a new chapter of his life. He married and settled in Serbia, where he developed an interest in recreational handgun shooting. In 1945, Turkish agents tracked him down, prompting him to flee with his family to San Francisco. Although Operation Nemesis officially concluded in 1922, its legacy endured for decades. It served as an inspiration for the Armenian Secret Army for the Liberation of Armenia, ASALA, a group trained by the Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO, which carried out 36 assassinations of Turkish diplomats during the 1970s and 1980s. ASALA's actions extended beyond targeted killings, culminating in a bomb attack that tragically claimed the lives of 55 individuals, many of whom had no connection to Turkey. In a broader context, Bogosian posits that the assassinations orchestrated by Operation Nemesis set a precedent for terrorist organizations in the years that followed. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.